What's going on, guys? My name is Rising, and welcome back to another gun guide for Call of Duty Mobile. This is the series where we focus on in-depth breakdowns, tips, builds, and class setups for every single weapon in Call of Duty Mobile's multiplayer. And in today's video, we're covering the brand new weapon that came with the Season 9 update inside of the game, which is the Sten submachine gun.
The base model ported from Call of Duty Vanguard, the Sten is a British submachine gun which was used extensively by the British and Commonwealth forces throughout World War II. The Sten in this game is a 4 to 6 shot kill weapon, dealing 31 damage up close and dropping all the way down to 18 at extreme ranges. It has quite limited body part damage multipliers, dealing a 1.5 times to the head and a 1.2 times to the upper torso. This means the headshots are quite effective, and up close you just need a single shot to the head mixed in with body shots to achieve a 3-shot kill. Beyond that, you need to hit 2 headshots mixed in with body shots to reduce your shots to kill at any range. However, it performs poorly in longer ranges because of some other factors, which will be coming shortly. You can also achieve a 3-shot kill in the maximum damage range by landing at least 2 shots to the upper torso, and the other shot can land anywhere on the body. And since this gun does not have any negative multipliers to the legs, it is highly consistent in terms of damage output. The rate of fire is slow for an SMG at 667 rounds per minute. However, you can speed it up to 706 rounds per minute with the Recoil booster, thus making the attachment pretty much mandatory on this weapon. This means your base time to kill up close will be 270 milliseconds in the first 2 damage ranges. However, with the Recoil booster, you can improve it to 255 milliseconds, which is great, but not competitive. And if you're able to land a 3-shot kill, your time to kill now becomes a great 180 or 170 milliseconds, depending upon whether you're using Recoil booster or not.
Now that we're done with the time to kill, let us now come to its range profile. And as we can see, it has a very slow bullet velocity at 480 meters per second, which means its hit scan range is just 24 meters. The 4-shot range stretches up to 20 meters, while the 5-shot ranges extends to 30 meters, both of which are not so competitive. And we can't boost the velocity as well as the ranges significantly because of its limited attachment options. And comparing it with other top-tier options, we see that both the base Sten, as well as with the Recoil booster, has terrible performance at all ranges, almost at the point of being a great competitor to the worst weapons in the entire game. However, since it features Vanguard gunsmith system, the Sten features quite interesting barrel attachments. So let's dive deep into those and see whether they can improve the gun or not. I have listed down all the barrels that we have access to for the Sten, and having a look on these, we see that the first 2 barrels have no impact on our lethality. However, the 3rd barrel has an interesting effect on our time to kill values. The 4th barrel increases our time to kill values drastically. It's so horrible that in longer ranges we get almost BR time to kill, but in multiplayer. The 5th barrel, however, improves our time to kill values significantly without any range decrement. So let us dive deep into these 3 barrels. The 3rd barrel is the Hawkinson 248mm burst barrel, and as the name suggests, the gun is now a 3-round burst. It also improves our rate of fire value, but since it neither changes its damage profile nor its damage multipliers, this barrel basically worsens your time to kill in the first 2 damage ranges instead of improving it. And since most players are not comfortable with burst guns, this barrel is pretty much a useless attachment on this weapon, and you must stay far away from it. The 4th barrel is the Hawkinson 248mm B13S barrel, which is basically a gambling attachment. This barrel reduces our rate of fire down to 536 rounds per minute, and thus harming our time to kill values significantly. On top of that, this barrel now has a negative multiplier to the lower torso and legs, which is very punishing and completely destroying the consistency of this gun, which was one of its primary strengths. However, the only redeeming factor of this barrel is its headshot multiplier, which is now a staggering 2.3 times. This means that now headshots are incredibly effective at all ranges, requiring just a single headshot mixed in with body shots. And by body, I mean anywhere but the lower torso or the legs.
And with this attachment, you can now achieve a two-shot kill by landing a headshot and in shot anywhere but those negative multipliers, with a fast 112 millisecond time to kill. But this barrel has way too many cons with just a slight benefit, which practically you won't even be noticing. Thus, in short, if you're landing headshots, this barrel is a great option. However, it is terrible anywhere else. And finally, we have the fifth barrel, which is the SA 65mm rapid barrel, which improves our rate of fire significantly to 790 rounds per minute, which has a great effect to all of our time to kill values. And since this barrel does not come with any range or bullet velocity penalty, it makes this a mandatory attachment on the weapon, just like the recoil booster. And with that, we are done with all of the unique barrel attachments. And, just like the barrels, the Sten also features few unique magazine attachments, so let us jump into those. The Sten comes with the standard 9mm mags, which do not change its lethality. However, with the 7.62 Gorenko rounds, it kills noticeably faster than the base Sten. And on the other side of the spectrum, there's the 45 ACP, which reduces its time to kill across the board. So let us go deep into these unique magazines. First, we have the 7.62 Gorenko rounds, which improve its rate of fire to 732 rounds per minute, thus improving its time to kill across the board. However, it no longer has the bonus upper torso multiplier, thus making its 3-shot potential slightly difficult. However, you can still land a single headshot and 2 shots anywhere on the body to get a very fast 164 millisecond time to kill. This attachment on the first glance looks very promising. But if we come back to the range profile, in case if you missed it, this mag decreases both our bullet velocity as well as our ranges by a harsh 20%. This means our 4-shot range is now 16 meters and the 5-shot range becoming 24 meters. But that's not the end of the story. Our new hit scan range is now just 19 meters, beyond which it performs extremely poorly. Since bullet speed and range was already a limiting factor on this weapon, this magazine is a total disaster, and I'll suggest you to stay far away from it, even if you're getting a faster theoretical time to kill. I've heard many players claiming that this magazine, combined with the rapid barrel and recoil booster, makes the gun quote-unquote broken, but sadly that's not even close to the realistic case.
And with our final magazine, we have the 20-round 45 ACP mags, which reduces our rate of fire and harming our time to kill values. It has a slight improvement to our upper arm multipliers, which doesn't really do too much. However, this attachment improves our bullet velocity and ranges by a massive 30%, meaning our 4-shot range is now up to 26 meters, and our 5-shot range being up to 39 meters, which is a great improvement. And apart from that, our hit skin range now becomes 31 meters, which is not great by any means, but is far better than the base weapon. So even if we're killing slower than the base Sten, realistically, we're improving its mid-range performance by a significant amount. So if you're on to using a magazine, then I'd recommend you this rather than the previous one. However, we get only 20 rounds in a single mag, so you must be very conservative if you want to use it.
And with that, we've covered all of its unique attachments, which have a significant effect on the weapon. Now let's have a look on its accuracy stats. And the Sten has a standard ADS bullet spread. And for its hipfire spread, it is slightly above average in terms of its initial spread. However, it lags behind in its hit flinch, which is quite high for a submachine gun, although its bullet impact is standard. And coming to its recoil, the Sten kicks just straight upwards with minimal deviation to the sides, which makes it quite easy to control. The aim down sight time is the fastest in the SMG category at 176 milliseconds. However, its sprint to fire time is slower than SMG average at 167 milliseconds. Its mobility stats are also average across the board, nothing too crazy in here. The magazine capacity is 32 rounds with 128 in reserve. It reloads in 1.56 seconds with an empty reload time of 1.68 seconds. Both of the reload times are extremely slow for its magazine capacity, and thus you must keep that in mind while reloading. And for its last base stats, let us quickly hover through its material penetration stats. And since this is an SMG, it doesn't deal any damage through medium cover and beyond. You can achieve 100% damage through thin cover by equipping FMJ and the 45 ACP mag, but it is not recommended to waste an attachment slot on FMJ for a submachine gun.
And with that, we've covered all of the base stats of the weapon, as well as a few important attachments. There is one last thing that I want to cover. I don't know whether this is a bug or not, but when you try to slide cancel or reload cancel with your ADS and fire button, it automatically triggers the weapon. This feature is extremely obnoxious to players who do this on a consistent basis, and I assume it being a bug rather than an intended feature. You really need to get used to this mechanic while using the Sten, unless you don't fall in the category of those players. But leaving that aside, so far we have seen that the base Sten is atrocious, and most of its attachment make it even worse. It lacks behind in few key aspects, such as its rate of fire, range profile, and bullet velocity. So based on these observations, let us now see how to build this weapon. We start with the two mandatory attachments, which are the recoil booster and the 65mm rapid barrel. We have the VDD skeletal stock because it offers a great boost to the ADS movement speed as well as its bullet spread. We have the 45 ACP mag since it is the only attachment which boosts our bullet velocity as well as ranges. If you do not like the 20-round magazine and want a little bit faster firing gun, then use the 50-round 9mm drum mag. We're using the sleight of hand for a faster reload for the 20-round mags, but if you're using 9mm, then you can choose anything in the empty slot. This is the type of setup which I'll lean toward if I was in a more competitive lobby, but insist on using the Sten. With this build, we have a bunch of changes, but most notably, out of all of these, is our damage ranges and bullet velocity, which as we can see, we have a 31 meter of hit scan range with 45 ACP and a 24 meter of hit scan with 9mm. And comparing it with other top tier weapons, we see that now the Sten has become a little more usable, being on par with guns like the XM4 and Type 19, at least within its hit scan range. However, it has multiple other drawbacks which hold it back significantly. So as mentioned earlier, if you want a change of pace and ever think of giving the Sten a go, then this is the only setup which I'd recommend for this weapon. Here you can see all its stats with this build. You'll be pretty fine using this gun if you stay within the effective range of 39 meters, beyond which you may experience quite a lot of difficulties. Also, you should be aware of its small magazine capacity, and I'd suggest using some sort of pistol in your secondary unless you're running overkill. So, that was everything you need to know about the balanced build. This was the best way if you ever want to use the Sten. But apart from that, I've also got a few more builds for the gun, because there are so many ways to build it. I won't recommend to use any of the following ones in a competitive setting. Rather, these ones are just for specific purposes. The first one that we offer is the headshot build. If you're grinding camos for this gun, then this one will be your best pick for it. We have the recoil booster for obvious reasons. We have the 348mm barrel, which gives that massive boost to our head multipliers. We have the Carver foregrip to improve our recoil control a little bit. And finally, we have the 45 ACP rounds as well as sleight of hand to give it a slightly better range, bullet velocity, and reload speed. Try aiming towards the head all the time with this setup, and as long as you're keeping your gunfights within the 34 meter effective range mark, you'll be perfectly fine. For the next build, we have the hip fire build. With this, we have the recoil booster for faster rate of fire, the 174mm barrel, removed stock, SMLE pistol grip, and finally, the 50-round 9mm mags. And as you can see, our hip fire spread area is incredibly tight. With this type of setup, you can keep spraying them at close ranges and being quite aggressive. We have also improved our sprint to fire speed, which is required for those skirmish gunfights. Stick within the 20-meter mark and you'll be good to go. Just don't challenge longer ranges. And for our final niche build, we have the strafing build. With this, we are once again using recoil booster. We have the 140mm short barrel, the VDD skeletal stock, SG98 compact underbarrel, and finally we're using the 7.62 Gorenko rounds with this setup. And we have some really amazing things with this build. Firstly, our aim down sight is ridiculously fast. It is so fast that you'll appear flying around the map once you aim down sight and move. As you can see here, I'm aiming down the sights and still moving ridiculously fast with this build. And believe me or not, we actually move 7% faster when we aim down our sights than our base movement speed, which doesn't make any sense, but here we are. This is the fastest strafe speed in the entire game. However, on the flip side, our bullet velocity is laughably slow now at 288 meters per second. This is now in the subsonic regime, but still doesn't make the weapon suppressed. So as long as you're keeping the 14-meter mark, you'll be fine using it. Beyond that range, I'd say good luck. As for an example class setup for respawns, we have the machine pistol as our secondary because the gun runs out of ammo very fast. We have the perk greed red as our wild card, allowing us to carry 2 red perks, one of which we have Flak Jacket while the other one being Dauntless. And for the other 2 perks, we have Quick Fix and Hardline. You can swap out Quick Fix for Vulture if you want. For the lethal equipment, we have a Molotov cocktail, and for the tactical, we have a trophy system. Operator skills and score streaks can be chosen as preference. For Search and Destroy, we're again using a pistol. The perks remain the same apart from using Dead Silence in the blue perk slot. We have a frag grenade as the lethal equipment and a smoke grenade as the tactical for blocking enemy lines of sight.
And with that is going to wrap it up on the gun guide for the new Sten submachine gun. As for my thoughts on the weapon, there seem to be a lot of ways to build it, but almost all of them straight up harm the gun way too much and make it entirely unusable. This gun is far beyond from being one of my favorites, to the point of being one of the worst ones in the entire game. I'll probably never see myself using this gun once I'm done with this video, unless it gets some kind of buff which may make me interested in trying it out again. Although it is better than the pre-buffed Vargo, the Sten is still a subpar option in the game. The Sten is the classic example of building a weapon turns it into a worse version of some other weapon. It has a lot of issues, including the unsuppressed nature and the sudden triggering of the weapon during slide or reload cancel. I wouldn't be surprised to see a buff coming to the gun in near future, and I'd probably be somewhat happier if they ever do so.
And of course, those were just my thoughts on the brand new Sten. Now, I'd love to hear from you guys. What do you think of this weapon? Do you enjoy the different modifications that can be done with this weapon, or you think it to be a mediocre option and want some more buffs to it? Just let your thoughts in the comment section down below. Join my Discord server to gain access to all of my recommended builds for all of the weapons, along with other in-depth analysis, which I've done. Make sure to subscribe and leave a like on this video, and I'll catch you guys on the next one.